because we're getting distracted from very real issues. You know, everyone thinks that they're now saying the same things. Hillary Clinton on February 16th, 17th has just now released a racial justice platform. And she's had the benefit of her opponent being almost exclusively criticized and critiqued. So she's been able to benefit from all the feedback and stuff, you know, the criticism. And now all of a sudden everyone's like, oh my God, she came to Harlem and delivered this great speech. Honey, I mean, I don't know who, I mean, and you only talking to a certain segment of the population of her. Let's just all be real, because it's a lot of stuff that you're talking about does not necessarily benefit working class people, or even what we would consider middle class in some spaces. There's a certain elite that is being appealed to, or they're the wannabes who aspire to be a part of the elite. Yep. And that is who she's appealing to. So I said though in the conversation, it's like, you know, on a Democratic, I mean, I reiterate some of what Leslie was saying earlier about how we have really bad cyber behavior in general, beyond this campaign, and people need to stop worrying about policing each other's campaign and each other's supporters, and worry about their own house, because we have a lot of surrogates, and we've seen this recently, and you've talked about it, other people have talked about it too. We've seen a lot of surrogates starting last week with the CBC members. My mayor down here, Kasim in Atlanta, we've seen a lot of surrogates completely negative, completely outlandish, distorting. I mean, it's just awful.
Do me a favor.
The race card.
Do me a favor, pull up that quote that you tweeted out earlier today from your mentor. I'm going to grab this call because he's...
Go ahead. Yes. Scout is awesome.
And I want to read that.
Go ahead.
Let's take this call.
And so Scout, you know, issued a challenge to other Dems, because down here, you know, a lot of people were feeling the burn, but they were undercover. They were in a closet about it. But he issued a challenge this weekend. He does a Down South and Dirty radio show. Along with Stacey Hopkins, but he issued a challenge to other members of, you know, the Democratic Party, you know, other people here. If you're feeling the burn, just come out. Come on. There's a lot of us, you know, come join the ranks. You know, primarily trying to get more Black support and put people out there, and people responded positively. So what he posted earlier was, now what I'm about to say is an observation, but when I hear an African-American surrogate stump for Clinton, it's a takedown on Sanders. But when I hear an African-American surrogate stump for Sanders, they are talking to our people about the issues at hand and how Sanders embodies those issues. So Mayor Reed, Bernie may not be nothing special to you, but what he is saying is special to our people. Hashtag let's not do this. Hashtag feel the burn. Because our mayor has been having a meltdown since last week, which coincided with the John Lewis issue. And we have several in the metro area, not just in Atlanta, but our metro area as a whole. We have several like unarmed police shooting cases. I mean, there's a lot going on here. Atlanta also has some of the worst income disparity in the country. I actually live right in between one of the wealthiest neighborhoods. Well, the wealthiest neighborhood in the city and one of the poorest neighborhoods in the city. And the contrast, you have $1 million homes on the one side and crack houses on the other side, only a few minutes away from each other. So it's a stark disparity. So to listen to Mayor Kasim Reed like go on his tirade, you know, going back to the conversation about Killer Mike and what surrogates say and is it sexist, there's a lot that is being done on the other side that's not being checked. But at this point, what we need to be doing, instead of screaming and crying every time somebody says something they don't like, we need to be sticking to the facts. We need to be worrying about our own house. I mean, online social media is a mess. And yes, there are women who are upset because they don't like being told that they're only supporting Hillary because they're a woman. But conversely, there are those of us who don't like being chastised because we're not supporting her because of her womanhood. I think that it's also hypocritical. I've said this before too. She did not support Zephyr Teachout when she ran against Little Cuomo for governor. You know, I mean, we have to look at the values. And that's the thing, though. Hillary Clinton and women like her will put their values before gender every time. They are a part of the patriarchy. I mean, they are not trying to, that's where they get their power from. So they're not trying to really change it. She's upholding the status quo. And there are people who that is absolutely fine. But for us, you know, we need to do more. We need to work harder and we need to stay the course. So for people out there, you know, a lot of people divulge like she's a cunt or she's this. That doesn't help our side either. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
yes. No. Wait. Right.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's do it again here because you've done it before. Let's do it again for Bernie Sanders supporters. You know what? I just have an expectation that if we stand for something better, then carry ourselves better.
Exactly.
So even,
but we don't always.
A Bernie Sanders supporter who is doing any of these things, then you need to smash them just as hard as you try to smash Hillary Clinton, because not because they make us look bad, but because they're not really standing for some. Here's the difference. This is the distinction that I realize. It's like, if you're willing to do anything for your particular cause, you're really not standing for the right thing. You're standing for your ability to get your way.
Yep.
You know,
exactly.
You're not fighting for the right thing. You're not fighting for progress. You're not fighting for your values. You're fighting so that you can get your way. And there's a big difference. And we have that all across. Republicans do it. Democrats do it. None of us are above the fray, like Leslie the other day.
Well, that's Leslie's point was beautiful, that there is no moral superiority, right? No group, no camp, no group of supporters is morally superior to any other. But there are a lot of folks who act that way, as if somehow they have, you know, that they're the only ones that are right. And, you know, everybody has what is valuable to them, what is important to them, and they follow who they follow because of that. The one thing we need to do, bringing it back to this Killer Mike conversation, is that we really need to look at what's going on. I mean, honestly, is when you read that quote and knowing what you know about him and where he stands, I mean, is that really, there is real sexism that is happening, you know, in politics. Hillary Clinton does get treated a certain way to some extent because she is a woman. She is gone after a certain way to some extent because she's a woman. Not by, I think Bernie Sanders intentionally does not attack her because he does not want to be accused of being sexist, like she did early, like after the first debate. I think that made him kind of trigger shy about going after her, because the one time he did try to kind of be a little bit forceful, because she's, I think it undermines her credibility. I think it undermines her candidacy when she does, when she's like, but I'm a woman, or you're being sexist. I think it's like Leslie was saying, it's becoming a cheap, you know, point. It's a cheap throwaway, and it takes away from the seriousness of what we really should be talking about. There are things that are, when people tell her that she should stop shouting. I mean, you know, I don't really care for her, but, you know, Bernie shouts and talks really loud too, and no one really ever tells him he should stop shouting. So I do think that there is.
Let's grab this caller, because I think it may be for you. Caller, what's your name, comment, and or question?